and business my name is Morris Ng. I'm the strategic partner and business optimization specialist for Schooling Mitchell. I'm the local owner for the Tri-Valley area, so that I can help our business like you to become more successful. So for this webinar, I'm going to focus on cost reduction. I'm going to share with you some of the techniques. Actually, I'm opening my book about how Schooling Mitchell really do to help the clients to save money on their business expense. So I hope this is practical for you and is actionable for you from a strategic standpoint so that you can implement it and drive profitability and sustainability in your business, regardless of what the economic climate is. Okay, so let me flip the slide. So why cost reduction matter? Cost control is a cornerstone for any financial decision, financial management. If you are in the business, if you don't control your costs, that means you are going to have a hard time whether to drive growth or survive. In an increasingly volatile global economy, right? During the last few years, we all experienced that, whether it's the pandemic, whether it is a supply chain issue or the geopolitical war and all these things, really drive the economy up and down, whether it's inflation or downturn. I actually talked to some financial advisor. I asked them, are we in a good economy or not? And no one can give me a flat answer right now. So as a business owner, how can we strategize? How can we protect ourselves? Whether it is truly a growing time or a downturn. So one thing to note is regarding costs, Schooling Mitchell actually did a survey and do an analysis. Organizations are actually spending 35% more than they need on their business service. Now that's significant. Think about if you can reduce that to zero, not overspending, but spend it at a amount that is reasonable, they can put that money back into their profit, right? And so it will increase their profit margin, but it also free up resource that can be reinvested into innovation and expansion. That really driving their long run strategy, right? Cost control is often, saying is a defensive strategy. If you're into football, you know that, are we playing defense or offense? But here I'm going to talk to you about cost control is not just about defense. It is also an offense, because if you can save enough money, you can really put that back into your war chest to drive profitability, right? By proactively managing the cost, business can actually create a stable financial foundation that support long-term growth. And I'm going to talk about that in detail, right? A strategic control, cost control that can help business really help them to be flexible, whether it's downturn in the economy or growth time. That really help them to adapt. Give you an example. If your war chest actually have more money than before, you can actually use that extra amount to drive, maybe your marketing expense, maybe improve your employee morale, to drive a better benefit, right? Increase their benefit and drive better morale in your team. So there are some survey in the industry, and this is an interesting number, and I hope that it kind of like resonates, on everyone's mind here, right? When do business actually pay attention to cost saving? 90% based on McKinsey. 90% of the business think that the right time to do it, they will do it, is when there's inflation, when there's rising costs, when remember the supply chain issue driving up the cost. Everyone say, how can we save money on that? So to me, that's really a knee-jerk reaction. That is like, because the cost rise, so we want to reduce the cost. 79% of the survey say, an economic downturn or recession. That's when they're in a survival mode, right? They want to survive through the downturn so that they can, get through it, become more stronger. And that cost saving strategy become important to 79% of the survey. 60%, this is an interesting, it's a big word, sustainability goals. If you look into it, what it really means is business have a mindset to really drive, the eco system costs, right? Whether it's doing something better for the environment or doing something better for the social environment. And that is a sustainability goals that they need to invest in it using resource. And so in order to do that, they will reduce their costs and trying to reduce the cost on some other areas so they can put back in those sustainability goals. Now, we go to the outer spectrum of it. Only 24% of the surveyees said they have a pressure on getting more profitable. That's why they will pay attention on cost saving. Think about it. Only 24% of the business think that way. That means, majority of the time, they are more thinking about how they can spend more money for growth instead of saving money so they can do better, right, on profitability. So I think this is a very interesting survey that really got me think that, hey, business objective or perspective is a bit reactive. And lastly, when business, some business actually, 24% of it again, is really trying to adjust the efficiency and and the need for outsourcing. Outsourcing doesn't mean offshore. It means that they want their staff to focus on their core business instead of something that they are not good at. For example, a construction company. Why would they having someone to look into the bookkeeping, categorizing expense? That doesn't make sense. So they outsource that function into an outside bookkeeper. That makes it more efficiency, right? But that is the time that those companies look at cost saving to drive those. But only 24% of the business are thinking about cost saving, to do that. 76% of that really think that they don't use cost saving to fit into this strategy. And that's kind of interesting because it's to me, that means they need to find the money from somewhere else. So all of this, I would say, hey, yeah, I understand, from different business background and experience, people may have different perspective. But to me, ultimately, when I work with clients, I always tell them that a smart cost management is really, they should do it all the time, whether it's good or bad economic condition, so that they can stay flexible, prepared, and resilient. So why am I saying that, right? During business downturn, it's very obvious, right? Everyone is in a survival mode. So they will, try to, save money so they can survive through this economic downturn. Now, with a lot of effective cost management, that can ensure that business don't have to go to, some drastic measure like layoff or severe budget cuts. Now, I want to add into this point. Layoff or cutting staff are not cost-saving strategy. A lot of study, I can tell you whether it's McKinsey or whether it's Gallup, they survey the cost of hiring, recruiting, and training an employees. Cost any business, whether small or big, a lot of money. And when you lay off someone that is experienced to your business, and when your business become better again, you're going to spend a lot more money and resource and risk to take on new employees. So layoff has never been my consulting business discussion. That would be the last resort. I try whatever I can to make sure that cost management, cost reduction, cost saving really on the operation side, really on other techniques that I was going to talk about. So by preserving cash flow and reducing unnecessary expenditure, what I'm hoping that this technique that I'm going to talk about is going to help them emerge stronger on an economic downturn. So what about the boom time? In the boom time, many business, like what I said earlier in the survey, business just thinking about, hey, just throw more money into marketing, throw more money into advertising, throw more money on social media. But that is, the time that they overlook something very important is the cost control, because maintaining discipline in managing expense is really crucial for maximizing profit margin. So it's not just the top line they should be concerned about. I see a lot of a company, especially when they're in growth stage, their revenue is going up so fast that they still go out of business in a few years because they didn't watch their expense closely, they didn't watch their cost closely, and end up their profit margin, and ultimately their cash flow become a problem. So I will always advise my clients to watch out even in a growth time. Cost saving, realize during boom time can be reinvest. I talked about it earlier. I cannot repeat it enough. Any cost saving is directly go to your bottom line. I used to work for a corporate, a very big corporation, global company. And when they went on IPO, that is their growth time, right? They finished IPO, their stock was going to skyrocket, and I saw that. The CFO right off the bat after IPO, he implemented a lot of cost saving measure and cost reduction measure. And that company went from a $1 billion company to nowadays is, I don't even know, the last I checked is $100 billion company. I'm not going to share the name. You guys know what I'm talking about. If you look at the history of that, that CFO is one person I learned from during a growing time, even from a company history standpoint. Cost control, cost management, cost saving is very important. Business that continues to focus on cost control during boom time are really better positioned for them, for competitive edge, right? They think about if your competitor didn't look at the cost control and cost saving, they would have less money, less resource in their war chest than you, whereas you have more resource to put in, whether it's improving the quality of the product, increasing your marketing spend, connect to more channel partners. Those are costing money where because of war chest, due to the cost saving measure, you can increase the resource. Think about what the possibility is from a competitive edge perspective. So now talk about cost management. Cost management is not a one-time gig. It is a continuous effort. It is basically a cycle that you have to set the cost reduction target, implement cost saving measure, track process, and ongoing making adjustment because the world is changing, right? The everything is changing. So you have to adapt to every changes possible. Even one cost saving plan you implement could save you money in a few quarters, but because of the different macro change, it costs you the measure starting to have less apparent saving. That's when you pay attention on maybe you need to change again, right? So ongoing monitoring is very important. Regular review on your cost control strategy are essential because of that. So what are the key cost saving, cost reduction techniques, right? I picked 3. If you see operational expense analysis, supplier negotiation, process streamlining are really the 3 main techniques that I'm going to dive in. Again, staff reduction are never in my book. right, on the technique because they are not cost saving technique. So in the operational expense, the concept is very easy, and I'm going to dive into it a little bit more. It's really identify and eliminate inefficiency from your day-to-day operation. That's easier said than done. If you think about, your business, the process and operation your staff is going through, you are going through, how can you tell something is unnecessary, right? And that involves a lot, whether data analytic or mapping out the process. I'm going to talk about that. But being in the game, it could be a little bit hard. And I'll explain why. Supplier negotiation, that is, I'm sure many business do that. A lot of time you negotiate with your vendor and trying to get the best discount, best pricing. And that is a very good practice if you do that. If you don't, think about doing that. But there are something that you need to pay attention to, like keeping a strong relationship with the vendor. And how do you do that? It's not just taking them to coffee or beer once in a while. That's not what I'm saying. So process streamlining, optimize workflow. That kind of mirror back to the first point, but it's really taking a approach that being creative, being imaginative on if you change your process workflow, that's it really reduce resource consumption. And think about those process could be a very intensive analytic stage. So we're going to dive into that, what to do. So operational expense analysis, that is basically a deep dive into your operational expense. And to do so, what you do is really identify any inefficiency, an area that where costs can be reduced. And most importantly, reducing costs should not translate to reduce quality of your work. It should not translate to reduce quality or quantity in a way. So to start that, it's very simple, but it's very tedious, is to categorize your expense. Many business owner, everything is basically they categorize the business expense. Unfortunately, that is the last thing you want to do. You really want to have category that makes sense. And the first division of that is dividing your expense into fixed expense. That means you have to spend that money every month or every quarter. Those are fixed expense. And variable expense that you only spend that when your business grow or when you hire more employees, so on and so forth. Variable based on revenue or variable based on employee count, right? Then analyze each category to find opportunity for saving. Now, one tip I would give to all business owner, a lot of business owner, especially when they start with just themselves or hiring, another person, they do it themselves. I have to advise that not to do it yourself, although, you can always use QuickBooks and plug it into QuickBooks and really do it yourself. But that takes a lot of time away from you to do something that you're good at, whether it's your trade, whether it's your business development time. So I will advise just hire a bookkeeper. A lot of bookkeeper can help you maybe spend an hour a week to categorize your expense or things like that. Those are not expensive. Those are not a employee hire. So I would always outsource that function. And the bookkeeper can in turn give you report every month and say, hey, in each categories of expense, how you're doing, right? So you can look at flags. Use some data analytic tools, and the data analytic tool actually can include like something like QuickBooks. They have different type of report, how you track your expense patterns. But most importantly, besides tracking the pattern, you want to compare with industry benchmarks. And now that sounds huge. Hey, small business, I don't expect you're going to hire a one of the big name consultant to get you the benchmark data. But nowadays, you don't have to do that. There's something better, something easier to get those benchmark. You can Google it, and that actually, I would say it's a you have to know what to look for when you Google it. But we got a new tool nowadays that's new and free, and everyone can do that. So all you need to do is go to ChatGPT or the Bing Copilot or the Google, I forgot what the Google say, but it's an AI, right? It's free for everyone. All you do is type in, hey, what is the telecom span average for restaurant business? And it will give you a very thorough benchmark that you can go with. And you can compare that benchmark with your spending pattern and say, hey, am I spending more than my peers, or am I doing okay, or or I'm doing better? So with that, if you find out something that you're spending normally more than your peers, that's when you flag that and taking that into a deeper like analysis, which is, looking at it, how you can make that under control, or negotiate with the suppliers, or negotiate with the vendors, or change your process, right? Which we are going to talk about. But that's something that you can do it yourself. It's a little bit tedious, but it's free, right? Use just AI. And with that, like what I said earlier, regular review that expense report. If you hire a bookkeeper, if your bookkeeper gives you a summary, every month or every quarter, don't just stash it and walk away. You really have to read it, review it with your bookkeeper, and really, the first thing is flag those that is out of whack compared to the industry benchmark, right? At Schooling Mutual, we done that for our clients, right? I'm not supposed to advertise what we do, but we did that for clients that are looking at operational expense analysis, and like a company in the manufacturing sector. I'm not going to disclose the name because it's confidential for our clients, and they have a rising operational costs. We just did a detailed expense analysis, simple as that, right? And identify, about the energy consumption of the machine, right? And that is actually above industry average. That people that industry that or business that in the same manufacturing capacity as them. And then we basically looking for help them to look for more efficient machinery. And we negotiate the supply contract with them, right? So for the raw material, that result was a 15 reduction on operation expense. But that manufacturer could have done it themselves without our help, because all my techniques earlier, actually you can do the same thing, because that's how we do it in Schooling Mitchell. So key takeaway for this part is really the regular expense review and the value of investing in efficiency improvement. Supply negotiation. This is a second technique. Many business owners do it. Usually they do it in the beginning of their relationship with the supplier rather than ongoing. One thing though, effective supply negotiation is not just about the price. If you think about just getting the best price you can, when you're comparing with multiple suppliers or negotiate with one single supplier, price should not be the only factor you're negotiating. You should negotiate about the value. That means you need to look at the quality, compare the different vendors on the quality, or research on the web about customer feedback on the quality of their product. And delivery time, ask them for their average delivery time. What's the percentage of time that they miss the delivery windows? What's the success rate on delivery windows? Those are statistics the supplier should be able to give it to you, at least in the ballpark. The payments terms that dictate your cash flow. So it's not just the price. If you can take longer time to pay back the suppliers, that will make your cash flow a lot more healthier. So I talk about conducting a thorough review on your current supplier suppliers, but also you need to look at the supplier agreement, especially your current one, because there could be area that you can improve, like I said earlier, like the payments term, right? Leverage your purchasing power. Many businesses, especially the one I work with, are too small to say, hey, I don't buy big enough. How can I get better deal? But many of them forgot about, hey, they have multiple locations. For example, a restaurant, right? They could have a restaurant in Livermore and Pleasanton and Dublin. But when they order, each site, they order themselves from the same supplier. They never think about they could have consolidated the order and so that they can get a better contract duration, better contract pricing and terms, so that the supplier love it, because they don't have to deal with 3 different entities. They only deal with one. They are more willing to give you a better deal. Building strong relationship, I can touch on them earlier. Building strong relationship with suppliers, this really can lead to more favorable terms because they know you. And if you have long-term relationship with them, they trust you because you're paying consistently to them. And so, that history is really your credibility and your brand to them that they're willing to forego some of the profits so that they can keep that relationship with you. So collaboration, looking at collaboration opportunity. Never kind of feel like, hey, my supplier is not my business. You kind of think of it, they are your friends, and you can refer business to them. That also can build stronger relationship, right? So when you do it, enough of time, their impression on you is going to be so much stronger. When you get into price negotiation, they would love to give you even more deals, better deal. So this is just an example, on suppliers negotiation. There's a retail company that we work with. They have multiple suppliers, right? Each with different pricing structure and payment terms. That's good, because in some way, because they can compare and shop around. But because of that, they really don't have much negotiation power with each one of them. So we help them on consolidating the order and basically point at one vendor that they always have good experience with them. They have good delivery time. Their quality are always good. We aim at them and have the client, actually we help them to negotiate so that we can get much better bulk discount, streamline the payments term, and improve their cash flow. That reduction in cost is 12% of their procurement cost and make it more efficient on their supply chain too, in a way, because they don't have to receive the same product from 3 different suppliers. It helped their receiving department to be more efficient also. Process streamlining, the third main topic, right? Streamlining your business process is really involve a lot because you need to identify and eliminate inefficiency in the workflow. And that's starting by mapping out your current process. If you don't know how your current process flow is clearly, you may not be able to get the right perspective on how you can improve it. So when I did mine, whether it's for the consulting business or whether when I work for a big corporation, I draw maps. I just whiteboard it, have each process owner just tell me, or each staff just tell me, what do you do, right? And who in each of the activities or the operation, always ask them, where do you get that information from so you can process it? Or where do you get that input, whether it's material or things like that, and how you process it. But at the same time, where you output to. So that way, when you map this, like kind of have a multiple box and have input, output, multiple input, multiple output, and then you start to connect them. And quickly, you can identify some box, they have some output that go to nowhere, just like building a bridge going to nowhere. Then you start to think, is this process necessary? Is this process just have an output, just having a bunch of report going to stash it in the storage? That means that's the part that you start to say, hey, I can take that out. That's how you deal with those unnecessary process. Also, when you're starting to see process that went through in parallel, that's what I call redundant steps. And those could be eliminated, right? But do it with cautious, because sometimes that process is a redundancy by design. So you really need to ask the different expert in your team to say, hey, is this necessary, or is it redundant, is meant to do that way? You need to, in each process map stage, measure the average time is spent in each process, so that you can quickly identify is a certain process become a bottleneck for your whole process chain, because those slow down your whole process, whether it's a revenue generating process or a control process. So that way you can quickly, whether it's make that process more efficiency, look at more automation and tool to do it quicker, so that you can reduce the overall time spent in that process. Implement automation where possible to reduce manual labor and speed up process. Now, you may remember I said cutting staff is never my recommendation, right? Because those will cost you more money later on than you would love to see. But this is basically what I mean is automate that part. But have that process owner be the owner of this change, so they learn about automation, they learn about how they can adapt. I brought up ChatGPT, but that's more in the AI world right now. People can really get a lot of automation out of different tools, such as the Make.com, such as actually there's too many, to help, whether it's marketing process, whether it's production process. Those can help you to drive down costs. And the person originally doing the manual labor can get transformed into more like a problem solver, become a subject matter expert in the underlying needs to process it, so that you can still utilize the value of that stuff. But that, in fact, the result and the outcome you want to see in that automation is to speed up that segment of your overall process. Engage your team in continuous improvement. Actually, the whole process streamlining, you should be engage your team, make them feel like they own that, they drive that. Part of it is because they are the expert, you are not. They are the expert on each process area. So they will know what is best for them to improve. The second of all, they will not feel like that you are trying to drive them out. You want to continue to give them impression that they will become the process owner. You will hold them accountable to make it more efficient, so that they have a sense of fulfillment when they can complete the task on streamlining the process. Regular review, this is another regular review again, but as a business owner, you really have to do that, so that you can continue to update your process, because things are changing in a market condition and a business need. If you don't adapt and change, you're going to lose out. Change is the only constant in the world. So we all have to learn how we can adapt to it. An example on process streamlining, there's a logistic company that was struggling with a long lead times and high operational costs due to inefficient routing and manual processes, right? So what we help them on, and they soon to discover that they can use some route optimization software, and use some automation to on some of the key process. That company was able to reduce their lead time by 20% and lower their operational cost by 18%. Now that reduction in lead time is not just driving customer satisfaction, because the customer have a better lead time, of course they're happy. But more importantly, your staff spend 20% less time in that process. That means they can use that 20% for more operation, different operation. And that reduces your need to, hiring another body just to do that, right? So we are better allocating your resource by, driving down the lead time or reducing the processing time is actually helpful for you to expand. Key takeaway include the value of automation and the impact of process optimization, both from a profit margin standpoint and ultimately the customer satisfaction. So this is very critical. So implementing a cost reduction strategy really effectively requires a structured approach. You cannot just open it and look at it one day because you just want to do it one day and do it. And that doesn't work. It's really requires structured approach. Identify the key areas, step one, like mapping the process and things like that, categorizing expense I talked about earlier. Create an action plan. Otherwise, your analysis would mean nothing. And that is a waste of effort. So you want to make it actionable, make it action coming out of it so you can implement it. Include measurable goals. I see a lot of business that implement great plans, execute, but 3 months, 6 months from now, when I ask them, so how much money did you save? How much time you are saving on your process? They're like, I think I saved some money. I think I saved time, but I don't know, right? If you don't track it, you don't know your success or failure. So tracking it, having a measurable goals is crucial. Some process are hard to identify a goals, and that in really need you to work with your peers, work with someone in the business or Google search, ChatGPT search, and find out how you can set a measurement in certain process. Monitor and adjust, continuous monitor. You cannot just walk away. I cannot emphasize enough because things are changing. Economic conditions are changing. Customer needs are changing. What you think you are having did a great job in cost saving measure can end up to be only good for a few quarters and then become a useless things. So you need to monitor and make adjustment. Regular review, that's why regular review is so important. In conclusion, as a recap on some of the key points, cost control is essential in both good and bad time. It should not be just a defensive move. Cost control is a both offense and defense, and keep that in mind. If nothing you learn about from this webinar, I hope this stick into your brain. 3 key techniques, review that, we're going to post this about operation expense analysis, supplier negotiation, and process streamlining. Implement this strategy, right? Requires systematic approach, ongoing monitoring, and continuous improvement. So a final thought, cost management is an ongoing process that play a critical role in sustaining business growth and competitiveness. So by remaining vigilant and proactive in managing costs, your business can thrive in any economic environment. So Steve Jobs, one of our famous history business person, always say at the end of the meeting, oh, there's one more thing. Well, one thing I didn't learn from them is I cannot wear turtleneck. That's not my style, but I would love to share one more thing. As a Livermore Valley Chamber of Commerce members, I will offer the member an initial business consultation on their general expense control, cost management at no cost to the members. And that's my commitment to any chambers, Livermore Valley Chamber member. And my advice to them in those meetings, I will give them idea on where to go. If they end up want to utilize my service and I can earn my living on that, I will share some of my earning with the chamber so that it become a make the chamber stronger. Also, that means it's driving everyone better for the business community in the Livermore Valley. So that's the one offer that I am adding to this presentation. Lastly, but not least, I hope I leave that presentation with a statement. Every dollar waste is money taken from your business growth. So stop that leak immediately. So that's conclude my presentation. I hope you enjoy it. If you have any question, Christy already asked everyone to raise. I think that's a raise hand button, or you can just unmute and speak.
That's awesome. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, so good afternoon, everybody. Sherry Souza here with the Livermore Valley Chamber of Commerce. Thank you very much, Morris, for your presentation this afternoon. And thank you for your generous offer to help support the chamber. We always appreciate that. I would suggest that we post this on the member-to-member deals on your portal, so that the members are aware of your offer out there more than just the people who attended the event today. And I want to thank everybody for their time and effort to be with us today. And thank you very much, Morris, for those wonderful presentations.
Thank you, Sherry.
Yes, thank you, Morris. That's awesome. Anybody have questions? No?
Thank you, Morris. I joined a little later than anticipated, but it was great to hear what you had to say. I really appreciate you. And I can say personally, I work with Morris and he's working with me on my business. I have a local business here in Livermore, Caliber Cabinets, and he's doing a great job. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. What gets tracked gets managed. Okay, any more questions? Great, well, thank you all for coming. Thank you again, Morris. And as a reminder, this will be posted on the Chamber's website and on our YouTube.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.